Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Life on Purpose Live. We have a very special treat for you today. As I say good morning from the United States, our guest, Mr. Yoni Yagodovsky, is saying good evening from Israel, right?
Right. Hello.
Well, we are so excited to have you. You know, we get to read about so much of what is happening in Israel on the news, but for someone like you, a leader, someone who's been on the front lines for so long, it is going to be great to get to share what's happening and what all you have learned after your many years. Let me just give some credentials here. You are Director of International Relations for, okay, Magen David Adom. Can I just say MDA?
Yep.
Which has been, was founded in 1930. You have 119 stations across Israel. You have been involved in the very response of the many things we've seen on the news for over 25 years. Talk about being on the front lines. And you say that every day your goal is to save lives of the Israelis, and we share that sacred life. Life is sacred in both countries. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening and what your daily life is like as one of the top leaders in protecting the people in your country.
So we look back, we have been with this COVID-19 situation for a year now.
Yes.
And it looks like it's been at least a decade that passed. It is challenging. I probably will not say anything that is not new to any of you, because the entire world is coping with this outbreak. Mm-hmm. And the overall situation and implementation and restrictions that are imposed on us because of this outbreak. But what is basically, I think, unique with regards to the work of Magen David Adom and the COVID is the fact that Magen David Adom is the Israeli national emergency medical pre-hospital system. Mm-hmm. We run the National Blood Services of the State of Israel, and we are the Israeli Red Cross Society. Mm-hmm. We are non-governmental, but we are national, acting by law. And all of a sudden, a year ago, a little bit earlier than that, the Israeli Ministry of Health approached Magen David Adom and asked us to take another task to the regular activities that we daily doing, which is dealing with the potential of the outbreak here in Israel, and the fact that Israel will get sick, and there is a need to first swab test them, mm-hmm. people that are all of a sudden with signs and symptoms, or whether they were in close proximity with the people who are identified as patients, and then also transferring these people who are, at that time, people felt and still do that they can, by breathing at you, you can get sick. So right. We need to take all the measures. So we had to train our team members, and we have tens of thousands of volunteers and a few thousand employees to train them how to cope with this new situation. Mm-hmm. Now, in one term, it wasn't that new, because we are regularly training our teams to deal with contagious diseases and mm-hmm. patients with contagious diseases, how to protect ourselves, how to notify, etc. But we took upon ourselves a new task, which is swab testing. So we had to train the entire team. And in the beginning, we went from home to home, according to information that we received from the Ministry of Health. And we swab test people. And then the numbers grew bigger and higher. Right. So we opened up drive-through testing facilities, so people could drive in, give the information that was logged into a computerized system, swab test, and then continue on back to their home until they will get the results. Mm. But add to that the fact that Israelis, when they are feel insecure, unsafe, especially medically, they have the tendency to call our emergency phone number, which is a national toll-free number, 101, and ask for assistance. Usually, in routine days, we get something like 6,000 to 6,500 calls from the general public, from all variety of medical emergencies and questions and information, etc. All of a sudden, we began to receive a day 20,000,
Wow.
30,000,
Wow.
up to 82,000 calls a day.
Wow. That is a massive increase.
People were extremely concerned.
Yes.
Now, one of the strengths of the organization is the fact that we have built our computerized system and phone answering system, etc., in-house. We have the people who are expert in it in-house. So immediately we were able to expand our work, and from about 60, 70 call takers a day, we have been activating 500 call takers a day in a variety of locations.
Wow.
There's a school that was closed down next to our national command and control center. So the municipality handed over the facility to us, and we put in our technologies in. And another touring agency that had a huge call center was out of business because there was no tourism, no income and outcome tourism. So they gave us their facilities. And with highly trained volunteers, even youth volunteers that were no longer able to go to school because school was closed, we trained them. And our system that was divided into the same number, 101, which the public knows, but the first time in Israel, they received an answering voice. If you're calling about COVID, press 1. If you're calling about other medical issues, press 2. And we have opened up designated call centers for COVID that register the people according to the signs and symptoms. It was all connected with the national network of the Ministry of Health and the 4 national public HMOs, the public healthcare insurance agencies. And we were able to start the triage of people that were with signs and symptoms or with not, whether they will go to and swab testing or invite to go to swab testing or not. And this is something that is still continuous, but not in these numbers.
I was going to say, has the numbers of calls daily decreased significantly now that you've administered so many vaccines?
Yes, but we are not there yet to the regular routine of 6,000, 7,000 calls. We're still in the area of about 18 to 20,000 calls a day. Add to that the fact that, let's say, if we were encountered with the issue in February of last year, in the summer, in May, June, the overall responsibility was handed over to the Ministry of Health, by them to the HMOs, and we were becoming more of the responding agency and not only the triage agency. So there was less pressure on us, even though our system were functioning nationally, and they were used by the entire medical network in Israel.
So are you seeing people begin to calm down a little bit as the vaccinations are going up? You said people were very concerned and afraid. Is that starting to level out a little bit, or is there still a whole lot of fear of new strains and, that type of thing?
The main concern sometimes is about people are looking for test results, and the vast majority of the tests are no longer done by us. They're done by the public health insurance agencies. They've opened up arenas. What basically happened that Magen David Adom gave the state of Israel and the medical system, they needed time to get organized. We took upon ourselves the emergency immediate response. And once things began to be stabilized, it moved on to more routine, normal activities. People are still concerned. It depends, when you hear that in your kids' kindergarten, there were 1 or 2 kids that are tested positive, the entire families are now concerned. They are calling, where can they receive a swab test, etc., in schools, in employment centers, etc. It's the same, and we can daily see the peaks according to the information people are receiving.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing was that, the fact that Israel received and began to vaccinate the population. The beginning, those who are elderly, that are 70, 80 years old, and then it was moved to 60 years old, and now to 50, and now basically the general public can be vaccinated. So Magen David Adom received a unique task, which is to vaccinate the most vulnerable members of the society, those who live in old age homes, those who live in nursing centers, those who are in special facilities because they have disabilities and so on. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, give or take about a little bit more than 200,000 people. Mm-hmm. And we went to these facilities with the kits of the Pfizer vaccination, mm-hmm. and slowly vaccinated these people, not only those who live there, but also the team members that work with them, in order to make sure that their entire environment is safe. And we have concluded this task within 2 months, meaning these people are fully vaccinated, received the second dose, and are fully vaccinated. Now, Israel saw another issue, that in the periphery, in small communities, in minority communities like Bedouins communities and so on, people are less going to be vaccinated. So we issued a campaign, and we are driving every day to these facilities with these very fragile pieces of vaccine that has to be kept in certain -Celsius temperatures and should be diluted in a certain way, etc. Mm-hmm. We go to these facilities and vaccinate the residents of these remote communities, and we talk about vaccinating between 8,000 to 12,000 people a day, in order to make sure that they are also safe. And this is another huge burden to the overall work of the organization that, as you remember, is daily dealing with regular ambulance emergency activities and collecting all the blood needed, processing it, and distributing it to the hospitals, the entire country, in a daily basis.
Well, and that's a great point, because not only are you dealing with the coronavirus and going out to the communities in the remote areas, but if someone has any kind of emergency, you get all of those calls. So you're getting everything. So I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership, because you've been doing this for a really long time. You have a huge volunteer base. You have 22,000, I think, are the majority of those out administering during this health crisis. You have been able to train adequately. All your funding is not government funding, so you are raising private money. So tell me what it is that you do that helps bring people together in such a way that, while you might have a lot of different ethnicities and religions around, you're able to bring together people and say, hey, this is all about the people of Israel. How do you do that? And how do you train people so thoroughly? Because that's a massive organization to get trained.
So, as you've mentioned, we are spread all over the country, and they all the time encourage members of every community to come to get the proper training, mm-hmm. where they are the age of, if they're youth, high school kids, 15 and older, or people who are already grown up, students, have their job, etc. to be trained properly and to become volunteers as first aid administrators, as EMTs, as paramedics, and also as trainers. And voluntarism is still is, even in the modern era, still an important value in the life, the general life in Israel. Needed to say in Magen David Adom, because without the volunteers that are daily, every minute are active in the organization all over the country, wouldn't be able to cope with the daily, regular, non-COVID medical emergencies. And by giving the essence and the feeling to the volunteers that they are needed, and the fact that they are there and they have a job, they have assignments, they sign in for the shifts, and if they are not coming, if they cannot come to a designated shift, they have to find somebody to replace them among the other volunteers. This is something that has been going on for years and years, and once people feel that they are needed and they can express themselves in a professional way, and they feel that they're part of a huge family, even if the family speaks in one ambulance Yiddish, Hebrew, and Arabic and English, or French, or anything else, they feel as if they're part of a huge family that supports them, that give them a special feeling, and they're daily rewarded from the fact of what they're actually doing. They're reaching people in need and helping them.
Well, and I like to call that a sense of purpose. You know, we're all about helping people live their life on purpose. And the common denominator of the massive task that you have is a sense of purpose to work together to save and protect the people in your region. And I think that's a very big sense in the heart for people to come together as.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
And we are able to train them because these are the requirements. In order to continue and volunteer after passing the initial training, etc., you're all the time receiving further education, further training. You can become from what you call basic EMT, you're training to become a senior EMT, paramedic. There are also ongoing training and refreshing courses, which are mandatory along the year in order to maintain the high level of medical knowledge and expertise, and how to use new types of equipment, new technologies that we are introducing, as you have mentioned. Yeah. All of our technologies and ambulances and even station buildings, even our blood services are all funded from donations. And the biggest group that support us for years, for more than 80 years, is our friends in the US.
Yes, I read about that. The AFMDA, the American Friends. And so, you know, we all, well, you know, it seems like everybody has a love and a fascination of the nation of Israel because of our biblical roots and our spiritual connection. So I think that's an incredible thing that you have so many donations coming in to fund such a massive organization. So how important is that to the overall ongoing mission of the efforts that you have now, that you've jumped in there and had to recreate, and as you move forward?
I'll give you an example. Okay. We have a fleet of about 1,300 ambulances, more in mobile intensive care units, etc. All of them are donated, were donated. All of them carry the name of the donors on their doors.
Wow.
Because we respect our donors, and we want to show our own team members and the general public that someone, a family, a foundation, a school, a church, came together, collected the money, which is a lot of money, and gave it in order that we will be able to function. And we are successful not because of us, the Israelis. We are successful because we have fantastic friends that have been supporting us for years and years and years. And because of that, we are ready. We were ready to deal with COVID because we had the means, the facilities, the training, the ambulances, the medical supplies, everything, because good people that for some reason love us, supported us. And we, as an organization, were able to perform. So, by the way, we see our donors, our overseas donors, as our overseas volunteers. Because they have volunteered to support the Israeli volunteers in order to give us the ability to carry out our work.
Well, and it says that the MDA is the most experienced mass casualty response organization on earth, like the best of the best. That's incredible.
Well, I think that I wouldn't take it that far. Saying that, we had, unfortunately, a lot of experience over the years dealing with mass casualty or multiple casualty terror attacks, not only due to terror, but that was the biggest impact on us. So we were forced to build abilities, the know-how, the system, alongside with our partners. We are not working alone in this kind of scenarios. There's the police department and their special departments. We have the fire department. We have the hospitals. We have let's say the variety of municipalities, etc. And we all joined together and built up our capacities over the years. And my former task, or my first position years ago in the early 2000s, was the director of the Jerusalem region of Magen David Adom at the time of the horrible second intifada, where buses were exploding and suicide bombers were exploding in the streets of the city and in the area. We were able to cope with these because we were highly trained, well qualified. There was a good communication between all the actors and all the participants. And we were able to deal and save people's lives that, according to the textbook, could not have been survived.
And that's the ability to communicate is its own unique skill of leadership. So how are you able to bring everybody together to one point to get that communication message out? I think that's just an incredible way of reaching everybody, because you're quick. I mean, you have to be quick in your ability to respond.
It starts with the fact that all of our volunteers, especially those who are 20, 21 and older, carry medical kits in their private cars. They're all attached. Their cell phone is attached to the team app. So that locates them, and according to their location, sends them to the nearest patient. Wow. So it could be one-on-one, or it could be where there's a massive attack. So immediately we can bring in people. Many of them drive our medical emergency motorcycles, our medicycles. They take ambulances to their homes or to the working place to be on call. So once something happens, immediately there's the response. The overall hospital system also is part of our emergency system, so they can receive the call at the same time that we respond, and we need to give them enough time to get organized, because in 10 minutes they will begin to receive patients that need immediate, massive medical care. So we teach a lot, we train a lot, we do a lot of exercises, and we share our knowledge and expertise with other countries. We've done a lot of seminars also in the US, and unfortunately I must say that there are areas and places in the US that have the know-how and unfortunately the experience because of the things that happened over there. And the entire world is suffering every now and then from different waves of terror. And we want to share our expertise and give our know-how, because sometimes a little piece of information can change the routine of others that are very well trained, but they need the additional factor.
Right.
And sometimes we can share it. And by the way, we didn't invent anything. We have learned from others and implemented the knowledge that we got into our system and tested it and modified it after each event.
Let's talk about a word that, whether in the U.S. or Israel, shalom is a word we all know, we all love, and we all long for, peace. What does it mean? I know part of the American Friends is not only giving, but prayers. What does it mean to know you have so many people praying for Israel, not only just Americans, but around the world?
It's a feeling that it's not so easy to describe, because it's an inner feeling that I feel that there are a lot of people backing me and are with me.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we about 2 years ago, I remember a new ambulance inauguration ceremony in Jerusalem. We had guests coming, the families that have donated and their family members, etc. We had 2 buses of people that came over. Tourism was blooming, and they came to inaugurate a new ambulance that this group has donated to us. And the EMT that is in charge of this specific ambulance spoke to them and told them, you cannot imagine that, and simply really feel what I'm feeling. Each time that I'm on my way to a patient, each and every one of you is with me in the ambulance, supporting my abilities. And this is our feeling.
That's incredible.
We feel that we are not alone. That there are so many people that we don't know that think about us and support us and give us the ability, the strength, the spirit to continue and to work day and night and save other people's lives. So we are blessed.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's a way that we can all come together, though we're worlds apart. It's a way that we can come together and share, you with us with you. So let's talk about the American Friends. I don't want to go on too much longer because I know we'll have a lot of people watch this afterwards, but the American Friends of the MDA, I gotta get my letters right. That's a huge part. You have a huge following. You have a lot of people involved on those pages and interacting with that. So what do you want the American people to know and therefore do to continue to support your efforts in Israel, the Jerusalem region, and around, just all the things that you're doing on a daily basis?
So American Friends are spread all over the US. They're a registered charity, the American Friends of Magen David Adom, and their task is to fundraise for the needs of Magen David Adom in Israel. And they make huge efforts to be able to give us dozens of ambulances and mobile intensive care units every day, medical supplies, medical equipment, build new stations, maintain new stations, etc. We talk about millions of dollars every day, every year, that are being raised by them from fantastic, generous donors in the US and support us. But they took upon themselves a unique task. And because of their, I must say, outstanding work, we are in the final stages of building the new blood services center of Magen David Adom.
Wow.
Which is unique. First, it's a huge building, but the uniqueness is that it is built mainly underground. All the laboratories, all the storing facilities, everything are built as a bomb shelter according to the guidelines of the Israeli Defense Ministry and the Home Front Command.
Wow.
And this will be the first, as far as we know at least, the first underground, highly protected blood donation and laboratory system in the state of Israel. This is a huge project. It is $130 million project.
Wow.
And they are in the final stages, not only of building it, but at the same time, trying to find the missing 20 million to finalize this project. And we hope that within a year, we will be able to work there, to move our facility within about a year. That we will be able to move to leave the existing facility that is fully functioning, but was built in the 70s for a population that up to 4 million. Israel now is more than 9 million people. The technologies have changed, and also the security climate has changed all around us. And therefore, we had to provide the best safety to this life resort. And we are the only suppliers of blood to the entire medical system in Israel.
Wow. It's a big responsibility.
It's a big responsibility and a huge gratitude for all of us here in Israel, to the American Friends of Magen David Adom, that were able to fund it. And so if you want to support them, you support us.
And we will post the link to that with the interview, because, you know, there's always the question of where to give and what to do. I mean, people want to pray, but people also want to do something more than that. So we will post so people know it's a safe place to give, because there's a lot of places to give, but you want to give in a place that you know is going directly to fund the efforts of saving and preparing for whatever comes your way, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, it's been such an honor to get to talk to you. You know, we hear about all the great leadership you're doing. I mean, we know that you have many hardships, and we know you have you have to be doubly aware of the things that surround you because of the region that you're in. But it is an honor to get to talk to you, to get to hear about what y'all are doing. As you know, we're trying to do some of the same things, but different, but also to know how to support you, to pray for you, to give, and to be a part of that new blood. I guess it's it wouldn't be sufficient to call it a building. It's a what? It's
our National Blood Services and Logistics Center.
Wow.
Named after the Marcus family, Marcus Foundation, because they were the leading donors, again, from the US. It's an amazing place. When I go there, I'm each time amazed from how quickly things are being built. Even we were very concerned about the COVID, but we were able to cope with it also in the big building. And, you know, supporting Magen David Adom is supporting the lifeline of the state of Israel. And we are daily, hourly grateful to the people who support us.
Well, and I'm so thankful to get to share some of your story. So let me end on when do you think people will get to visit again? I know a lot of people that had plans to visit Israel and they got put on hold. I mean, when are we going to go back to normal?
Well, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. We all feel the same.
Yes.
Kind of, it's slowly becoming to an anxiety to travel again, to see the world, to sort our life together to normality and enjoy our lives. I hope with the spread of the vaccination all over the world, and that the fact that it is so efficient, we will be able to, within, I don't know, half a year, go back to more of a normal life and see one another again. And you can come visit us, and we'll be more than happy to show you around our facilities, especially the new facility, and to meet in person and not over through a screen.
We're going to put that on the calendar one day. That's going to be our mutual goal. We'll get to meet in person. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. I hope we'll get to do this again. It is an honor, and I know that you're far away, but it's great to feel like we're at least on the same screen for a few moments to talk and to share and to come together and collaborate on how we can all work towards health and saving lives and praying together and coming together and serving one another.
Thanks you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak with you. I'll be happy to do it again.
I appreciate it.
All the best.
All
be
right.
well, stay safe, and be healthy.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.